For weeks, the investigation into Theo Silverton's murder has seemed to move in circles. Every new lead has pointed toward someone familiar, someone already woven into the fabric of Weatherfield. Friends, neighbors, and close associates have all found themselves under scrutiny as detectives Lisa Connor-Swain and Kit Green searched for answers. Yet the latest development changes the shape of the case entirely. A newly released spoiler reveals that the focus is no longer limited to those closest to the crime scene. Family connections are now becoming impossible to ignore, and that shift places Kit Green in an increasingly difficult position. The timing is significant. After being away from Weatherfield for more than a week, Kit returns expecting to resume the investigation. Instead, he walks directly into a situation that threatens both the case and his own objectivity. The turning point arrives when Todd Grimshaw's missing phone is finally recovered. At first glance, the discovery appears straightforward. Todd had previously explained that he abandoned his plans to leave because he realized he had lost the device. According to him, the phone contained everything he needed, making its disappearance a major concern. Recovering it should have helped clarify the timeline surrounding Theo's murder. Instead, it creates an entirely new mystery. When forensic examination reveals that the phone is covered in Brody Michaelis' fingerprints, the investigation suddenly gains a new suspect. The evidence immediately raises uncomfortable questions. Why was Brody handling Todd's phone? How did he come into contact with it? And more importantly, what connection does that place him in to the events surrounding Theo's death? For most detectives, the discovery would simply represent another lead. For Kit Green, however, the situation is far more complicated because Brody is his son. That personal connection instantly transforms a professional investigation into a conflict of interests. Rather than approaching the evidence with caution, Kit reacts defensively. He quickly insists that Brody could not have been involved in the murder and reminds colleagues that they already have someone in custody. That person is Summer Spellman. From an investigative standpoint, Summer appears to be the strongest suspect currently available. The evidence against her has continued to accumulate, creating what observers inside the story describe as a substantial case. On paper, the conclusion seems obvious. Yet the narrative repeatedly refuses to settle there. Summer maintains her innocence. More importantly, flashbacks connected to the night of Theo's death appear to support her version of events. This creates a familiar but effective tension within crime storytelling. Physical evidence points in one direction, while narrative evidence suggests something very different. The gap between those two realities is where the mystery continues to survive. And that gap becomes even more important when Kit attempts to dismiss the implications surrounding Brody. His colleagues are not interested in hearing personal excuses. The response is immediate and direct. Kit is warned to keep his distance from the investigation. The message is clear. If his family is connected to emerging evidence, his involvement risks compromising the integrity of the case. From a procedural perspective, that warning makes sense. Detective dramas frequently explore the dangers of emotional involvement, but Coronation Street is approaching the idea from a particularly interesting angle. The issue is not whether Kit is corrupt. The issue is whether he is capable of remaining objective when evidence begins pointing towards someone he cares about. The distinction matters because bias does not require dishonesty. A detective can genuinely believe they are pursuing the truth while unconsciously protecting someone close to them. Kit's immediate defense of Brody may therefore reveal less about Brody's guilt and more about Kit's inability to separate his personal life from his professional responsibilities. And the upcoming episodes suggest that he has no intention of stepping back. Despite being instructed to stay away from the case, Kit continues pushing forward. His attention soon returns to another familiar target, Gary Windass. For some time now, Kit has treated Gary as his primary suspect. While others have followed different leads, Kit has remained convinced that Gary is hiding something important. The problem is that Gary has consistently refused to provide the breakthrough Kit is looking for. Every conversation ends in the same place. Suspicion remains high, but proof remains elusive. The discovery of Todd's phone only intensifies Kit's determination. Rather than accepting Brody's fingerprints as a reason to broaden the investigation, he uses the development as motivation to apply more pressure on Gary. After questioning him about the phone, Kit reportedly tells Lisa that Gary is concealing information and becomes increasingly determined to uncover whatever it is. This creates one of the most intriguing questions surrounding the storyline. Is Kit following evidence, or is he following instinct? The answer may determine the future direction of the investigation. If Gary truly is hiding something, Kit's persistence could eventually expose a crucial piece of the puzzle. But if Kit is allowing his desire to protect Brody to influence his judgment, his focus on Gary could be leading the investigation away from the truth at precisely the moment it should be getting closer. That uncertainty is what makes the current stage of the storyline so effective. Summer remains under suspicion despite claiming innocence. Brody's fingerprints have introduced a troubling new possibility. Gary continues attracting attention without providing definitive answers. Meanwhile, Kit stands at the center of every development, caught between his responsibilities as a detective and his instincts as a father. As more evidence emerges, the murder investigation is beginning to look less like a search for a single suspect, and more like a test of who can be trusted when personal loyalties start colliding with the truth.